The first thing Mara noticed was the flowers. Dozens of them, white lilies arranged in careful rows, their scent so thick it pressed against her like a hand on her chest. The second thing she noticed was that she was lying down. And the third, the thing that made her breath catch and her fingers curl against satin, was the silence of the room around her, and the low, broken sound of her mother weeping somewhere nearby. She was in a casket. Later, the doctors would use words like prolonged cardiac arrest and metabolic suspension. They would show her family charts and numbers and speak in the careful, measured tones of people who need to sound certain. But none of their words touched what Mara actually remembered, because she remembered everything. Not darkness, not nothing. She remembered a road, long and gray, disappearing into a fog that had no source and no horizon. She remembered walking it without choosing to, the way you move in dreams before you realize you're dreaming. The air had a quality she couldn't name, something between silence and a frequency just below hearing. It pressed against her ears softly, like the moment before a sound. There were others on the road. She couldn't see their faces, only their shapes, moving in the same direction, unhurried, certain. She didn't feel afraid. That was the part she kept returning to, months later, sitting by her kitchen window in the early morning. She had not been afraid, and then she had stopped. Something made her stop, not a voice, not a hand, nothing she could point to, but a stillness that settled into her like cold water finding the lowest place. She stood there on that gray road while the others continued moving, and she had the distinct, wordless understanding that she was being given a choice. Not asked. Given. As if the choice had already been made somewhere outside her, and she was simply being shown it. She turned around. That's all. She turned around, and the fog came with her, and then there was the smell of lilies, and the sound of her mother crying, and the satin cool beneath her fingernails. The funeral home worker who heard the knock from inside the casket never gave another interview. The family signed papers she was never shown. The doctors closed the file with a diagnosis that satisfied no one, least of all Mara. What stays with her isn't the casket, or the flowers, or even the weeks of medical tests that followed. What stays with her is the road, and the shapes of the others, still walking, and the quiet certainty she felt, standing there, that they weren't going somewhere. They were going back. Back to something they already knew. She just can't remember what it was. And some nights, when the house is very still and the dark outside the window has a particular quality, that same quality, that pressure just below hearing, she wonders if the choice wasn't hers at all. If something turned her around. And if it did, she wonders why. She wonders what she's supposed to do now. She wonders if the road is still there, patient and gray, waiting. She thinks it probably is.